What's going on, guys? This is the RPO podcast. We are back live. I'm here with my guys, TJ, and I'm here with my guy Raymond. What's going on, TJ? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. We're getting a few more weeks into the season with the big teams, and we can finally start talking about truly oh no, are you in trouble? And of course we'll talk about that. We have a few teams to talk about with that
Well, we
today,
got
but
so much to talk
not going
about
to spoil
today.
it too much yet.
So much to talk about today. We had another good week. Raymond, how you feeling today, man?
I'm okay. A little tired. I've been working pretty hard at my job, but I'm good.
You can't be tired, man, because it's RPO time. It's time to talk some football. You got to be excited about this. Oh, man, we had another good week. Yeah, I hear you. Work hard, man. You're a hard worker. I understand. But hey, man, we are back live. This is the RPO College Football Podcast. If you don't already know, we on every Wednesday at 7:00. So we do appreciate everybody that's in here. Please make sure that you leave your comments. We do respond to all comments in the comment section. So please, as you see right down there, leave your comments. We do like that. So we do appreciate everybody being in here. And let's just talk some college football. And we got a lot to talk about. We got some upsets that we're going to talk about a little bit later. We got some, some close games. We got some really good games. So we're going to talk a little bit about week 4 a little bit and get right into that. So we're going to talk about our first game, TJ. So I'm going to have you go first. We're going to talk about West Virginia versus Baylor. It was a really, really good game. It was actually a better game than I thought it was going to be. Please let me know what you think about that game.
I mean, rare Big 12 defensive game. I mean, you don't really see that that often. But we did touch on a little bit last week, and the game was 12 tied at 14 points going into overtime. So it was pretty even. I was trying to find who I thought was the best offensive player of the day. I really couldn't find one. I mean, Letty Brown of West Virginia, the running back, he had a good volume day. Didn't have a really efficient day. I got to chop the main story up to be West Virginia's defense. I mean, 6 sacks, 11 tackles for a loss. They held Baylor to under 1 yard per carry. I mean, that's pretty good in a spread out college football offense. So I gotta say it was very close.
Yeah, it went into overtime. It was a really close game. It was 27 to 21. West Virginia won. Ray, what do you think about that game?
Like TJ said, a lot more defense than you would expect in that conference, but West Virginia defense is pretty good, so I wasn't surprised actually.
Definitely. So I'm gonna be on here confessing my badness. So last week I was the only one that chose Baylor, so I got it wrong. It was definitely close though, so I'm not too mad about that. But everybody else said West Virginia. I'm the one that had to be the oddball and say Baylor. So congratulations to you two guys. I'll never back down from knowing that I did something wrong or said something wrong. So congratulations, you two got it right. I got it wrong this week. But best know that when I win, I will talk about it.
All right. I'm sure you won probably something this week. I can't remember off the top of my head. We'll see.
Yeah, I was really good last week. I got all the close games right. I called most of the upsets.
Well, except this one.
This week, not as much. I think I called one game or maybe 2. All the other ones was kind of obvious that we talked about. So let's get into the other games. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Florida and South Carolina game. It wasn't as close as these other games, but it was a good game. I think Florida showed us a lot. Continued some of the offensive dominance that they showed last week. So it's more of want to talk about Florida a little bit. They're ranked number 3 right now. So I want to know what you guys think about that right there.
Okay, go ahead.
Florida did what they do. Kyle Trask is a promising quarterback. Probably has enough talent to play at the next level. Mm-hmm. Had a nice game. Kadarius Toney had a really nice game. 86 yards, touchdown. Kyle Pitts does what Kyle Pitts does, man. Good receiver. Basically probably going to be the first tight end taken in next year's draft.
Oh yeah.
If not, he'll be 1 or 2. But again,
or the first pass catcher in general. Might be.
I like him.
Maybe. I don't know.
I wouldn't say that. There's a guy that's from LSU that I've been talking about for a couple of months.
I think Tony is better than him, but I mean,
all right. I mean, I loved what I saw from that offense. I'm waiting on the Florida defense to show me something for a little bit. They've looked pretty suspect the last 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, they should have gave up 30 points to South Carolina. I don't know what Will Muschamp was doing on that last drive. He was down by 2 scores and takes a 7.5-minute drive all the way down the field, works out almost all the clock, and then fails in the red zone and turns it over on downs. And I'm like, I don't know what he was doing there. So anyway, they should have given up 30 points. So that's the Florida defense to be determined. Pitts, he is. I hear people whispering Heisman for him, which I have a hard time seeing him winning the Heisman over Kyle, his own quarterback. Which I don't. I'm not going to be that absurd, but man, Kyle Trask looks good. He had one bad interception. That was a pretty nice play by South Carolina on a one-handed pick. I love what I got to see from Tony. These 2 weeks, Kadarius Toney has been explosive. I mean, he catches that crossing route on that touchdown he scored, and he broke through he ran through 3 separate guys. He was running so fast they couldn't tackle him. It was fun to watch, and it's going to be an interesting chess match down the road when Florida, Georgia, as we've seen through the couple SEC games they played this year, Georgia's got the defense and Florida has the offense to match it.
Definitely. Tony looked really well. I liked him last year as well. And I was a big Van Jefferson guy. I really think he's going to really do really well in the NFL. Tony is better. Tony is better than Van Jefferson. I was really high on Van Jefferson.
More explosive than Jefferson, basically.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So definitely. All right, let's get to our next game. It's NC State versus Pitt. So that one was another close game. TJ, what do you think about that one, my man?
This one was pretty much a barn burner. I was expecting a little bit more out of Pitt's defense. They've been one of the best defenses in the country. They had a real slacking effort. They let Devin Leary of NC State go 4 touchdowns, no interceptions on him. He threw the game-winning touchdown with under 30 seconds to go. Just a beautiful float, down the sideline that his receiver managed to snag. The Pitt offense looked a lot better than because I thought Pitt obviously driven by the defense. The offense hasn't really exactly blown me away, and they weren't even that good against Louisville a week earlier. But they Kenny Pickett, the Pitt quarterback, he did well. He threw for over 400 yards and over 10 yards in attempts. So that's it's promising stuff for on the Pitt side at least. But the loss of the game at the end could make the big play.
Yeah. Listen to this stat real quick before I let Ray go. Out of the 2 teams combined, rushing yards was 154 yards. Rushing yards, 154 yards combined in that game. That was all throwing. Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
Well, I think that Pitt's defense didn't stand up and make plays when they needed to do it. That's pretty much why they lost the game. I don't think that Pitt's offense is that great. I think that NC State's defense is not very good. So,
Okay.
I think we talked about last week that if Pitt was going to make any noise this week and this season, that they were going to have to play defense every week, and they chose not to last week. So,
Yeah, I mean, it was a close game. I can't knock them too much. It was only a 1-point loss, and it was a last-minute touchdown. So, one of those exciting games that nobody thought NC State was going to win, and they did win. So, congratulations to NC State. So, that was one of our our upset games of the week. So, let's get into the next game. I'm actually going to skip this game. I want to skip these next 2 games. I want to get to those last. So let's go to Rays and UNC versus Boston College. Ray, what happened? They won.
But they won. It wasn't a pretty win, but they got the win. It's not going to help them with style points, of course. What they've realized is Phil Jurkovec is pretty good, man. You know?
Yeah.
Kid's good.
So, Porter Notre Dame guy, right?
Of course. Notre Dame likes small, average quarterbacks for some reason, but that's what they do.
So I wasn't too before the game, I thought UNC was gonna roll and win by more than point spread, which is 2 touchdowns. But watching the game, it made more sense to me. UNC hasn't played in 3 weeks, so of course they were going to be a little rusty. The defense didn't look rusty. They were really good. They kept everything in front of them. Jurkovec averaged only 5.5 yards an attempt on 56 throws. So that's a lot of volume and not a lot of downfield stuff. He was hitting Hunter Long a lot. He was targeting Hunter Long a lot, but I think Hunter Long was the All-American tight end for BC. He was targeted something like 17 times and only caught it 9, which is not a great percentage. It's a great share of the targets, but not a great catch percentage. Which there's a couple drops, a couple bad throws. But the UNC defense, they played really well, and Sam Howell was efficient. The running game was efficient for UNC. They had Michael Carter had 16 carries, 121 yards. The other running back had a touchdown on the ground. So I mean, UNC, they looked like they had the better players out there. They ended up winning. They got the interception on the 2-point play right at the end, returned it to make it a 4-point game. It was a lot closer than it probably should have been. I thought UNC left a lot of points out on the field, especially in the second half. Those 2 points were the only points they scored in the second half. Or in the second half, they scored a field goal in the third quarter, and I think off the top of my head, I think that was the only points they scored in the fourth quarter is that 2-point return. But I'm sure they'll get it right, and they have a right to be a little rusty after 3 weeks off.
Yeah, I agree. Agreed. They looked rusty, played a little rusty, but you also got to remember, Hunter Long is really the only receiver that threatens anybody on Boston College. And if they had some guys outside and Hunter Long wasn't getting double cover on every play, he probably would have caught more passes than he did.
I thought Hunter Long was open. He was open a lot.
Well, Jurkovec missed him twice. Where he was open, but again, when you have nothing outside, they have no receivers that can stretch the field. So everything they did was like underneath, kind of short, and UNC's defense made enough plays, like you said, to pull out the win. So only scoring 5 points the whole second half is really what did them in, or almost did them in, I should say.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a good game. We'll see. If UNC can pick it up. Like TJ said, they were a little rusty. So hopefully that's the case. Ray picked them to be the second in they're
top 10 now. They have to.
Yeah. So
they have no choice. They're top 10. They're right behind Miami, and I know we'll get to it later. But I would imagine by this time next week they'll be ahead of Miami. So, it's expected.
So a game that we're going to talk about is Miami versus Clemson this week. So you already kind of know how we're going to go for that one, but we'll talk about that in a second. So let's talk about the next game. We're going to talk about the Florida State Seminoles versus the Jacksonville State Gamecocks. So the game was 41-20 for Seminoles, but they were getting clapped in the first half. It was looking.
We're having this conversation, I think, every week now. My God. I was checking the score. I just kept updating. I'm like, it can't get any worse. What, it's 7-0. Now it's 14-0. I'm like, oh no.
I think it got to 21-0 at one point, and then all of a sudden,
I think it was 21. I think it was 21-7. I think that was the.
Okay, yeah, 21-7. So, TJ, let's talk about it, man.
Oh man, I don't even know what to say, man. I really don't. Was Mike Norvell out there this week? I know he missed the week prior with COVID concerns. Is he back? Was he back? I didn't actually get to watch. This is one of those games that's like blacked out on every network that's not in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Was he back?
I think if he was, he wasn't back fully. So I mean, I didn't get to watch this game either. Florida State's not a watchable team. They're just not.
Yeah, exactly. Regardless, I think they should have. They could I mean, come on. I mean, they couldn't. Again, it could not figure out. I think Blackman got benched in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I think Blackman got benched in the first quarter. I thought I wrote something down about this. I guess I didn't. But Blackman gets benched. They had Travis come in, and he was a little bit better, but still not completely the answer. And they finished really strong in the second half. But man, you shouldn't even be trailing at any point versus Jacksonville State. I mean, they paid him $400,000 to come play.
Yeah.
I mean, you got exposed on the ABC primetime game the week before, and then you invite Jacksonville State in, and in the blink of an eye, it's 21-7. I mean, guys. I mean, I know it's hard to quick fix college football programs, but man, it has not looked any different with Mike Norvell. Not one bit.
Yeah, it was crazy. I was honestly, I was kind of upset that Jacksonville State didn't win. Just to think about those guys that were up that much in the game against a power school, and to be winning and the morale was so high for them to lose like that too. Really stunk. So I feel bad for Jacksonville State players. But Ray, what do you think about that game?
Like I said, it's a bad Jacksonville State obviously is not a top program.
Yeah.
They get a nice payday usually from playing a team like Florida State, but Florida State is they're unwatchable. They're just so sloppy and unprepared. I mean, I don't understand what they're doing. I just don't. There's no game plan. It's just go out there and I think they really thought, well, we'll just go out here. It's Jacksonville State. This should be one game where we're going to, and they really look unprepared.
Yeah. We'll just out talent them, but that didn't even seem to matter because I don't get you're one of the premier football programs. I mean,
they were sleepwalking.
How far have they fallen since Jameis Winston was there? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
I mean, Jimbo Fisher leaving was the tipping point. I mean, it just capsized.
And Jerome, for years, how often have we talked about you lose that head coach, you lose that formula for winning and recruiting. It just happens. But you would think Florida State can just recruit because they're Florida State, but they're not a good team. They're just not. It's a shame.
Yeah. I see a scenario where if for 1 year Deion Sanders have a good year at his school, I forgot what school it is again already, but if he Jackson State, there you go. If he has one good year at Jackson State, I'm pretty sure if FSU continue to play the way they're gonna probably give him a call hey.
So the only problem that puts these schools in just a difficult spot, which we'll probably talk about with Texas, foreshadowing, in a little bit, that the athletic departments this year are losing so much money that they can't afford to buy these coaches out. So if you have a bad coach, you're stuck.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, sometimes it's best to move on from a problem before it becomes too bad, but I mean, Florida State. I mean, you just committed to having Mike Norvell there. You can't. I'm not a fan of ditching him this early. But what we are trying to grasp the problem. What is it? What is it? The players? Is it the coaches?
Yeah, for sure. I just see this comment right here. It says Florida State needs a big name coach right away, and I agree. They need somebody.
I don't even know if they need a big name coach. They're big name enough. They just need something good.
Yeah, they need.
No, they need a coach. They need a real coach. I mean, the name doesn't matter. They just need a good coach who can come in there and help them recruit players. I mean, Deion Sanders would do that, but it's not going to be Deion Sanders. He's not.
Yeah, it's like we talked about this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
like is
Deion
Deion Sanders like a coach? Is he going to make them better? Do we know?
Probably
Do we
not.
know that?
He's going to get some recruits in though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Florida State. You can get them in regardless.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's going to be a crazy situation, and I just think that the way that they're playing right now, they're 1-2, and they're barely 1-2. So it's massacre down there for sure.
Here's a name for you, Bill O'Brien.
Oh!
I mean, he did. I'll give Bill O'Brien credit. He did. He made Christian Hackenberg look good. Somehow.
Yeah, no, he recruited fairly well at Penn State. He did. And again, he's not going to go down there and set the world on fire. Right now, his name has a little bit of a bad taste. But let the season play out. Let him hire a couple of nice assistant coaches because Bill O'Brien is a good offensive mind. He is.
So sorry, Ray, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'll say, so are you suggesting they bring him in as OC or as head coach? Because wasn't he OC at Penn State?
He was he was the head coach at Penn State.
Yeah, he was the head coach.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was the offensive coordinator at New England. Again, he's a name that will attract some attention. And right now, that's a step in the right direction because right now they look unprepared. You can say what you want about what he did in Texas. And let's face it, as a GM in the NFL, he was overmatched. He was. And really, you can't.
Terrible.
Well, the problem is you can't take them personal issues as a GM. That's why you need a coach and a GM. The coach coaches the players, and the GM puts the players on the field. Now, in college, it's different, though, because you're recruiting kids, and you're Bill O'Brien. He can say, well, I coach the NFL. There's a lot, Pete Carroll. I know Pete Carroll's Pete Carroll now, but people forget. He got laughed at in the NFL at one point, went and reestablished himself at USC, and now has done a great job, obviously, in Seattle. Yeah, so you get a guy who has a name, hire a couple nice assistant coaches underneath him, and that's a step in the right direction for Florida State, if nothing else. I mean, if you want to get another coach in there, like a defensive mind as a head coach and bring Bill O'Brien, that would even be better. But, I mean, again, it's a name. You know what I mean? Like right now, you need names at Florida State because the names they have right now are guys you don't really know that well, and they look unprepared. Sorry, you can't go play Jacksonville State and get down 21-7 if you're Florida State. You just can't let that happen.
Man, that's embarrassing when your starting quarterback gets benched too.
And like the thing is, like I don't even think Mike Norvell is a bad coach. Like he did a great job at Memphis. They looked really good under him.
Yeah.
And we obviously are going to give him more time because they're not going to move on from him that fast. That's just not how it's going to work. But I'm interested to see. I just don't like what I see right now. It doesn't look like anything's changed.
Definitely. Coaching in Memphis, where you're a nice coach at Memphis, is a lot different than competing with teams down in Florida. I mean, let's face it, there's just too many good teams and too many good players down there to have a guy like that. I mean, I just don't. I'm not saying that Cabell is a bad coach. He's not. But is he a name that will attract players? No, he's not. Yeah, exactly.
The problem is, I don't even know how to formulate that into words. Never mind. Well, we can move on.
I mean, right now, obviously, they're way behind Miami. Obviously, they're behind Florida. So you're not going to go them. And right now, they're not even as good as UCF or South Florida. So what are you doing then? But if you bring in a guy again, but
South Florida is not very good anymore.
They're not that good, but they still have some decent players. And with Florida State, I mean, I'm not even sure how good their players are because they don't play well. So it's either coaching or the players. That's true. So
definitely
that is true.
You see from our Facebook user says Fitzgerald to from Northwestern to Florida State, maybe if the contract is right. What do you think about that?
Well, Pat Fitzgerald's he's a good coach.
That's a very good name.
He's a very excellent coach, succeeding in one of the best conferences in the country. I still don't know if I'm sold if he'd be an upgrade over Mike Norvell, but
I don't think he would leave. I don't think he would leave to go there anyway. I really don't.
I don't think so either. He's probably he's comfortable with, Northwestern doesn't exactly have sky high expectations every year, so he can continue.
And Northwestern's always like a tough team every year too. Like
exactly.
They don't always win, but they'll play you tough. I mean, I know I'm a Michigan fan. They'll play you tough. They almost beat us almost every time. I'm like, why are we struggling against this team?
I can't wait. Can't wait for Big Ten season. We're getting close. We are getting close.
We're getting close.
3 weeks?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
3 weeks. 3 weeks? Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get to some of our upset games, man. And the first game we're going to talk about, the Texas game. TCU versus Texas. Man, oh, man. That was a good game. I was glued. That was usually sometimes when I'm watching college football games, I'm watching the game, but I'm also like multitasking, doing something else. That game, I was glued into the game. That was such a good game. And the fact that TCU won at on the legs of what's his name? Duggan.
Max Duggan.
Yeah, after him having I believe it was cancer. I believe he had. Yeah, I thought that was incredible. That's such a great story and things like that. Ray, what do you think about that game?
Well, like you said, I think Max Duggan had a nice game, very efficient, 20 of 30, another 79 yards rushing, 2 rushing TDs. I mean, honestly, what I saw was that Texas with Sam Ehlinger has a fullback playing quarterback, okay?
Yeah. Yeah, Sam Ehlinger didn't have a terrible game. Yards wise wasn't good, attempts wasn't good, but he had 4 touchdowns still. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think TCU's defense was gonna be that good. I believe we all actually I was the one that selected that game. So yeah. So I chose TCU last week. You guys chose Texas. Yeah, so what you guys TJ, what do you think about the game?
So sorry about that. I had someone call me and my computer was shaking.
Okay.
So I dug up this stat. I saw this. I got this from Joel Klatt. He's on Fox. He called this game for Fox. TCU versus Texas before joining the Big 12. They were 1 for 32 against Texas. Since joining the Big 12, they're 7-2 against Texas. Gary Patterson has won 6 of his last 7 against Texas, and he has beaten him 3 years right. Yeah, 3 of 4 against Tom Herman. I mean, this is a Texas problem. Yeah. And we'll talk about Oklahoma in terms of disappointing Texas teams. And I've had some time to think about this. But Texas is in bigger trouble right now than Oklahoma. Because Texas has out-recruited Oklahoma the last 3 years. Has the senior statesman at quarterback, and is continuing. And since Tom Herman took over in 2017, is 11-6 as a ranked team versus unranked opponents. 11-6 in games you're clearly favored in. He has lost 6 times in 4 years.
That's crazy.
I'll say the second weakest conference in college football. It's troubling, right? And there's just these mistakes that there's a ton of penalties on both sides. I mean, 22 combined penalties. For that comment, by the way, I checked. So Oklahoma's been about 4 spots behind. It's not like Oklahoma's been recruiting bad. Texas has been, though, in the top 5. Oklahoma's been in the top 10. So to clarify a little bit. But just there's these mistakes. I mean, Sam Ehlinger didn't even complete half his passes.
I mean, you're losing the game by 2 points. That's basically the game right there. You just said he didn't complete half of his passes. I mean, that's ridiculous.
However, I can't only blame him. Because what was the play call on the goal line when you have Sam Ehlinger and they hand the ball off?
Exactly.
I guarantee you the next probably at least 80% of the time the rest of the year, at least 80%, if not more, that's a quarterback keeper, Sam Ehlinger. I mean, they run that play so much. He's one of the best in the country at it. Like, and they just they handed the ball off, and Keontae Ingram he lays it on the turf. I mean, it's kind of a summary of how the Texas program has been since Mac Brown left. I mean,
it was funny because when that goal line play happened, it was not surprising to me at all. It was like something's about to happen here. You could just feel it in the air, and like he fumbled, and it was like, oh well, yep, knew that was about to happen. I just felt I don't know, it was weird, but go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry.
I mean, I want to give a ton of credit to Max Duggan at TCU. He beats Texas for the second year in a row. He scores the go-ahead touchdown on a quarterback run 2 years in a row. He was efficient through the air. He was efficient on the ground. He looks good. He looks like a very, very good Big 12 quarterback. But, man, Texas, I mean, this week versus Oklahoma, I mean, if they lose, the booster's getting on the phone. I don't know. You can't – you're – like, this is troubling, Texas. This is very, very, very troubling. I mean, you are supposed to be elite. You are recruiting with the likes of Alabama, with Georgia, with Florida, et cetera, yet your team looks like that.
You know, it's crazy, too. Like, Texas got some receivers, too. They got some really, really good receivers. I just don't know why. It's like Tariq Black got 1 catch for 5 targets. That is not good.
Not at all, no.
Passes. That's why.
That is not good. Tariq Black should have stayed with Michigan. I'm just saying.
Another thing about this game, TCU so many times had opportunities to score, and they were forced to kick field goals over and over and over and over. And Texas couldn't take advantage almost at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a crazy game. Facebook user says
it's just horns down, like it just horns down.
Todd Herman is going to be back at Ohio State, if not next year or the year after, as a coordinator. He has a decent season, but the expectations are higher down in Austin. So, you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know where he'll go, and I don't even know if he'll get fired. Because bring it back, like, are they going to pay him a buyout? Can they afford to pay him a buyout yet this year? I don't know.
It's interesting.
I don't know either. I mean, I mean, you lose a Gary Patterson, though. Patterson's obviously a good coach. I mean, it happens. I mean, we've done the same thing with Texas that we keep doing with Florida State. We keep hoping they're going to be good, and it's just not happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Their last Big 12 title was with Colt McCoy at the helm. That's how long it's been.
Yeah,
that's 9 years ago for people that don't understand. 9 years ago.
Yeah,
that's forever in college football.
Oh yeah. Really is. All right, let's get to our next game, guys. We got K-State versus Texas Tech. I think all of us selected Texas Tech last week, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, we did.
I think we were banking on quarterback health.
Yeah.
Both starters were out in this game. So at that point, it's just, I mean, Skylar Thompson got an arm injury, Bowman an ankle injury, and then it was whose backup was playing better. Texas Tech ended up winning that game, right?
Yeah. No. Kansas State.
Won.
Yeah, Kansas State won 21.
So we talked about Deuce Vaughn last week. He was awesome. He had 113 yards and a touchdown. And Will Howard, the backup quarterback for Kansas State, was also really good. He had averaged over 14 yards an attempt.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate that he got injured. He only got to throw 7 passes. Like you said, we were really looking forward to seeing him play, and it was unfortunate that he couldn't continue and finish out the game. But man, I really thought Texas Tech had it, and if he would have stayed in the game, I think they probably would have, to be honest. So
Texas Tech had no answer for Deuce Vaughn, and that's all there is to it.
That's true.
The
Yeah,
Vaughn averaged 7 yards to carry, 113 yards, 3 receptions for 81 yards and a touchdown. We talked about him last year. This kid's just a playmaker. Keep your eyes on him.
He is a beast. He only a freshman.
It's hard to call a guy who's 5'5" a beast, but yeah, he's a playmaker.
Hey man, I call it like I see it, man. That guy, little man's a beast.
Yeah.
Little man is definitely a beast. So, well, we're gonna talk a little bit more about them later on, but let's get to the last game real quick. It is Oklahoma versus Iowa State. Man, that game. TJ, what do you think about that game, man?
So again, I've had a little bit of time to think about this. Yes, very disappointing for Oklahoma. I mean, it's a game they obviously should have won. So I looked this up. Do you know what Oklahoma's record was against Iowa State prior to Lincoln Riley going there?
No.
They were 74-5 against Iowa State. 74-5. Matt Campbell is now Lincoln Riley is now only 2-2 against Iowa State. And Spencer Rattler, he made some freshman mistakes in this game. I think it was little coaching, little Spencer Rattler. He had that interception at the end. Maybe there's a borderline hold there on that final throw. I don't know. Oklahoma's coaching was really conservative. They settled for a couple of really short field goals in the game.
Yeah.
With Oklahoma's offense, it's like, why don't you just you have the best, one of the best offenses in the country. Why aren't you going for it? They kicked an 18-yard field goal in the first half. That's from the 1-yard line. Which is like, I don't know. But the defense looked exactly like I expected it would. I mean, missing tackles, no pressure. Like it wasn't very good. And you know, it looks like it might be a bit of a rebuilding year for Oklahoma, having so many people churned out to the NFL, especially at the quarterback position, and the first time Lincoln Riley has had an underclassman quarterback.
Yeah,
first time.
Definitely. Yeah. And we all thought that Oklahoma was going to win this game. I believe we all selected Oklahoma. But one of the things that we said was for Iowa State to win this game, Pruitt was going to have a bounce back game, and he really kind of didn't. I mean, he didn't turn the ball over, which is good, but he didn't do much. He was 12 for 24, 254 yards with 1 touchdown. Ray, what do you think about his performance in that game?
I mean, to me, it comes back to what TJ said. You're playing your Oklahoma. You know your defense is not great. You have to punch them balls in and score points, man. You can't take field goals. You can't just settle for field goals. You just can't. If you don't believe me, ask the Miami Dolphins coach. Okay, you can't settle for field goals. Okay, not when you're the underdog. You can't settle for field goals. You can't.
For sure. Yeah, definitely. That game was incredible. Another good game. Another one. So we're going to talk about these two teams real quick. So we're going to get into our question of the day. And our question of the day is, I got 2 of them for you guys. Try to make it quick because we're running out of time a little bit. So should K-State be ranked at this point? They beat 2 good teams in a row. They're not ranked at all. Do you guys think K-State should be ranked? Starting with you, Ray.
Do I think they should? I'm not going to say they should. Could they be? They could be. Right now, they're between 26 and 28, depending on whose poll you look at. So I can see if they have another big win where they sneak into the top 25. Sure.
TJ?
I mean, essentially they're ranked 26th right now. So, and they're ranked behind Minnesota, who hasn't played a game yet. So I think we can borderline qualify them as ranked. And of course, there's probably going to be a spot in the top 25 open next week when Texas loses.
Definitely. All right, and then the next one is that do you agree that Oklahoma should still be ranked? I mean, being 1 and 2 right now,
no.
Do you think they should be ranked?
No.
But they will. They will also be ranked next week after they beat Texas.
Yeah, because I think they're 18 right now.
Honestly, they should not be ranked.
Yeah.
You can't give up the kind of play, not even the points. You can't give up as many big plays as Oklahoma does and think you're a ranked team.
Oklahoma received less votes than Coastal Carolina this week.
Note
Note that.
You know what? No, honestly, that's all you need to know. Honestly, I mean, Coastal Carolina, Oklahoma. What doesn't belong? Apparently, Oklahoma right now.
Only one of them is beating Kansas. Only Coastal Carolina has more Big 12 wins than Oklahoma does this year.
Again, like you're not going to convince me that Oklahoma should be a ranked team right now because they shouldn't be ranked.
They're not good.
No.
I was kind of blown away to still see they were ranked. So, incredible. All right, let's get to our week 6 previews. So you guys already know how this is. We're going to look at the games. We're going to look at the lines and tell you who we think is going to win. We always going to write it down like we always do and talk about it next week. So let's get right into our first game. This game will be Louisville versus Georgia Tech. Louisville is favored by 4.5. TJ, who you got?
I'll take Louisville, bouncing back from they had a rough couple of weeks. They lost to Miami, and then they got lost to Pitt. Malik Cunningham was pretty beat up. The lines, you said, -4.5. And is Louisville at home or is that at Georgia Tech? I don't think it matters much, though. I'll
Georgia
still
Tech
take Louisville. Okay, so I'll still take Louisville -4.
Ray?
I will take Louisville to win the game, but I don't know if they can cover that line. I don't know. I don't have enough faith in them.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna take Louisville as well. I think they will cover the line. I think that Georgia Tech is a good team, but like TJ said, I think Louisville will bounce back and have a better game this week. And
we were expecting Louisville to take another step this year and be better, and we haven't seen it. So I'm thinking we could see it this game.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's get to the next game. We got Virginia Tech versus UNC. UNC is only favored by 4.5 points. Ray, your UNC, who you got, man?
I'm taking North Carolina. I think they're going to cover that line pretty easily, to be honest with you. I think the last week was a wake-up call for them to come out and play better football this week. I do.
TJ?
Yeah, I'm right in line with Ray. I mean, that's a pretty low line, I got to say, for UNC.
Yeah.
-5.5. UNC easily, I think, is covering that -5.5. I think this is a real quarterback mismatch. I mean, Braxton Burmeister for Virginia Tech is completing, I think, 44% of his passes when I checked. Virginia Tech's running for over 300 yards a game. They have Khalil Herbert in their backfield. He has been one of the best backs in the country. But the Tar Heels have allowed a grand total of 108 rushing yards in 2 games this year.
Yeah, I'm big.
I'm going to go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
No, I'm done.
I'm a big Herbert fan. And I think if you put the ball in his hands, you'll make some plays. I just don't think they'll make enough against North Carolina to really compete in this game. I don't see it. I actually think North Carolina wins this game by touchdown pretty easily. I do.
Yeah, I agree. I think USC is going to win this game. Let's get to our next game. We got Texas versus Oklahoma. Probably going to be one of the most watched games this weekend, simply because the two teams just coming off a loss. Texas is barely ranked. Oklahoma is favored by 2.5 points. They are home. Ray, what do you think?
You know what? I'm gonna regret this next week. I have a feeling, but I'm going to take Oklahoma. Oh. I am. I think it's a field goal game either way. I think Oklahoma probably squeaks out a win at the end. So,
TJ?
So you see the faith that Vegas has in Texas. Well, they're the ranked team. Oklahoma is the one that's favored.
Yeah.
And even though they've lost 2 games.
Oklahoma's at home, and they're only favored by 2.5.
Yeah.
Well, it's Red River, so neutral.
Right. That's
neutral
usually
push. Yeah.
Okay.
No Texas State Fair though, so it's gonna be an interesting game. Texas needs this game. I think Texas needs this game more than Oklahoma because Oklahoma's already eliminated themselves.
Yeah,
like they're done, right? They're probably not competing for the Big 12 title. They're definitely not getting to the college football playoff. While Texas won't be in the college football playoff, they have not eliminated themselves from the Big 12 yet. They still control their own destiny.
Yeah,
they need this more. But I'm picking Oklahoma because I don't trust Texas at all.
If
You
Oklahoma
got me on that a
doesn't,
little.
and we've been joking back and forth all for the last couple weeks about how Oklahoma's done. If they lose this game, seriously, you better start looking forward to next season because this is
Yeah.
you're not going to survive this. You're not. So
No.
And yeah, it would be a little crummy for Lincoln Riley to have this bad season, but like at least he's been pretty good his last 3 years. So if to say the least. So you can give him a little bit of squeeze room. Tom Herman, on the other hand,
Mm-hmm.
He's had one.
I'm gonna go with Texas, and here's why.
Of course you are.
Texas, no. Hey, I got guys on Oklahoma. I'm that's my guys down there. But I think that Texas have a better defense than TC. What was it? TCU they played? No, not TCU. Iowa State. I'm sorry.
Iowa State.
I think Texas have a better defense, and then with Ratliff was he was struggling at the end of the games, and I think it's going to be pretty much the same thing where the game's going to be on the line, and he's just not going to be able to get it. He's a freshman, like TJ said. This is the first time. I'm not a freshman, but he's a sophomore. He did his first year playing. I just think that it's a little bit too much for him playing against some of these defenses. So I'm gonna go with Texas. What you mean? Of course I am, Ray.
Because you keep wishing and praying like we were earlier. I've lost faith in Texas now. I'm not gonna lie about it.
I'm not wishing.
Not that I have any faith in Oklahoma either. But again, they lose this game, and Texas can lose this game and still compete for their conference championship. If Oklahoma loses this game, again, their season's over. They're not going to be a playoff team. We already know that. They're not going to even compete for their conference then.
Just know this, Ray. Though I was the only one that picked TCU last week, so it's not no Texas thing for me. I'm just letting you know that.
I think this is a bigger game for Texas than it is for Oklahoma, but
it is. I agree with that. I do agree.
Try to convince Lincoln Riley of that.
You say, Ray?
Try to convince Lincoln Riley that it's a bigger game for Texas than Oklahoma.
I don't doubt Lincoln Riley's doing everything he possibly can to motivate his team and have them play better and not play so crummy in the second half like they have 2 weeks in a row. But, Tom Herman's the one who's got his 5th-year Heisman contending quarterback out there and 1 Sugar Bowl win to, on his resume and 2 other mediocre seasons sandwiched around it. So
I just think that Lincoln Riley has aspirations to maybe move on to the NFL eventually. And if he wants to do that, he needs to keep his name where it needs to be. If he loses this game, his season's flushed.
For some reason, I just feel like
I don't think this will affect his NFL resume.
Exactly. I was learning about
that last week. He did more crying about every call that went against him. He looked like I can't even come like John Gruden back in his Oakland days the first time, whining and complaining about everything.
Definitely. I mean. We'll definitely see. All right, let's move on to our next game. We don't have much time. NC State versus Virginia. Virginia is favored by 9. NC State just came off that great win. TJ, who you got in this one?
So Virginia's offense was actually really good against Clemson last week. I was really surprised. It was only an 18-point game. I mean, you never see Clemson finish within 21 points of a team, but they were within 18. The quarterback had, I can't remember his name, Brennan Armstrong. He was good. He had over 300 yards. So I think Virginia wins at home. NC State has a pretty crummy defense. 9.5 is a little steep to cover though, because both teams' defenses aren't great. So I would do plus 9.5 NC State, but Virginia wins.
Right.
Agreed. I actually think Virginia's defense is way better than NC State. So I'll take Virginia to pretty much probably win by 2 touchdowns, to be honest with you. I think you saw NC State have a really good game last week, and then this week to come back there. So
definitely. As much as I would love to see NC State win, I just think Virginia's going to get this one. Like I agree with you guys on this one. So we all in agreement with that game. Usually when we do that, it goes the opposite way. So we'll see. Let's see. They've been doing that lately. All right, next game we got Florida versus Texas A&M. Florida is favored by 6.5. They are currently ranked number 4. Ray, what do you think about that one?
I like Florida to win the game. I only have 5.5 point line. I'm not crazy about covering the line. I think Florida will win. I don't know if they'll necessarily cover that line though.
TJ?
I think they'll cover that line because Texas A&M's defense has been pretty crummy in the games they played this year. So obviously Texas A&M struggled with Alabama. I'm sure plenty of teams this year are going to struggle with Alabama, and they also struggled with Vanderbilt. So I mean, you have the hottest quarterback receiver duo in the country right now, Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, who I think are going to have another field day down at Texas A&M. I think they can win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Florida as well. I just think they got too much firepower on offense, and nobody been able to stop Pitts so far. He's one of those tight ends that is going to be a matchup nightmare, and especially in the college ranks where there's not a lot of linebackers that can definitely cover him like you'll see in the NFL. I just think that he's going to be a nightmare matchup for each week in and week out. So I'm going to take Florida as well. All right, let's get to our next game, Texas Tech versus Iowa State. I think this is going to be a really good game. I like this game. I'm definitely going to make sure I tune into this game. TJ, what do you think about this one?
I mean, you think it's going to be a good game? Vegas doesn't think so.
It's going to be fun. Say again?
Oh, fun. Yes, fun is better. I said Vegas.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
13-point line for Iowa State. I have no idea if Bowman's playing. Obviously, with these college programs, you type in and see if someone's playing, and they won't give you any information. So I have no idea. So that means I'm going to pick Iowa State.
Yeah.
They're not giving me anything.
Right?
Yeah, I think Iowa State too. I mean, I don't have a strong feeling one way or the other about the game, to be honest with you, but I'll take Iowa State.
Yeah, as much as I like TCU, I just think
Texas Tech.
I'm sorry, Texas Tech. Man, I'm messing up. Yeah. Texas Tech. As much as I like Texas Tech, I just think that them not having their quarterback in is just going to be if he doesn't play, I just think it's going to be a struggle. If he does play, I still think it's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be as much of a line as it is, but I'll still take Iowa State. So, but Prouty definitely need to play better for sure. He needs to play better. So he's been struggling lately. All right, let's get to what are we gonna do? Let's get to 2 more games. So let's do Kansas State versus TCU. Ray, what do you think?
What kind of line do you have on that game, Jerome?
It's -9 TCU.
-9 TCU. Yep.
I'll take TCU then. I think they'll win the game. I don't know if they'll cover that line, but they'll win the game.
Yeah, for me, this is the same story as the previous game. I don't know how healthy Skylar Thompson is, and Max Duggan is coming off a really good game, so I'm going to roll with him.
Exactly.
Same. Yep. I'm in agreement. I am in agreement. Definitely, I hope Vaughn does good. They're probably gonna have to lean on him a little bit more, but without having your quarterback Scholar, I just think that it's gonna be hard for them. So let's get to the game of the week. Clemson versus Miami. This is one that Miami's ranked high this year. They're both 3-0. Clemson is up favored by 14, rightfully so. But do you guys feel like this can be a upset?
No,
not at all. Not even close.
No,
I don't think so. So okay, I think Miami's good. Yeah. I really do.
Yeah.
However, let's look at the teams they beat this season. They beat UAB week 1. It's UAB. They should beat UAB.
Our favorite team.
They beat Louisville. Right? Louisville's been really underwhelming this year. And then they beat a terrible Florida State team.
Our favorite team.
That number eight ranking is purely based upon their preseason ranking. I don't know if it's accurate how good they are. So this game will be a pretty decent measuring stick for how good and how changed this Miami program is now with the new offensive coordinator, Brett Lashley, and De'Ara King as well. We'll see. I am pretty comfortable taking Clemson by 2 touchdowns in this game.
And I think, honestly, that's what I want to see. I just want to see how they measure up with a big dog. De'Ara King's going to be in there. He's been looking really good. I just want to see, like, that clash, how De'Ara King versus a good defense. But go ahead, Ray.
I agree with everything you guys just said. I think that if Miami can keep this game to 10 points, though, it could actually speak volumes for where they're at right now. So
exactly. Yes, I agree.
I don't see them even. I think two touchdowns, a 14-point line is about where it's going to be, where it should be. So,
you know what? I was thinking 10 points, but I might do the 14. I might do the 14. Actually, I'll do.
Again, if Miami can keep it, if Miami can keep it anywhere around 10 points or even less, then
that's
really
like
that's almost like a win for them. Because they'll probably move down a little bit, but it won't be like if they lose by 21, they'll probably drop down closer to like the teens.
Yeah.
But if they keep it to 10, right. If they keep it to 10, they'll say like between 10 and 15.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we all in agreement with that one as well. So thank you guys for listening in. This is the RPO College Football Podcast. Thank you for all our viewers and everybody that came in for the comments. We do appreciate that. Please make sure that you follow us on Discord. You see the link down there. So make sure you go in there. You can post your questions. We talk about college football each weekend, and join the chat, join the fun. We're talking while the games are going. So please go in there, jump in, and post your questions. Ray, you guys say something?
Yeah, Jerome. Before we're getting ready to get off now.
Yes, sir.
I want to just bring up one thing. As people know, of course, I'm a huge football fan. I'm a sports fan in general, but I'm also a music fan. And honestly, we lost a legend yesterday in Eddie Van Halen.
Yes.
And I just wanted to make a remark about that because anybody who is a music fan, as I am, know that from Chuck Berry to Jimi Hendrix to Eric Clapton, Eddie Van Halen was right up there with them type of musicians. And it's a great loss. I've been fortunate enough to see the guy live 3 times.
Hey.
So, and the last time was like 3 years ago. And anytime you lose a guy that's only in his mid 60s, it's tough. Mm-hmm. But when you lose a guy like that, who was as influential, there's no one that's picked up a guitar in the last 40 years that hasn't been influenced by Eddie Van Halen. So as you can tell, it was kind of tough yesterday, man. It really was. It was kind of like when Kobe passed. Mm-hmm. That kind of a person for me, as being a real big, basketball fan, music fan, you lose a guy like that. I mean, it was a tough day yesterday, man. It really was. So I just want to say to all of his family and any people who feel the way I do that, again, a tragic loss. And Eddie Van Halen was a tough guy to get a hold of because he was very private. I think people looked at it like he was a little bit standoffish, but I just think that he was just such a private person and didn't really like the limelight. But again, a huge, huge loss. And I mean, I've never played a guitar. I play a little bass guitar. I don't play guitar at all. But yesterday was a very tough day for me, and it really was. So again, just want to say God bless to everybody. And again, there's a hell of a band up in heaven right now, brother. So there's just another member that went up there yesterday. So again,
yeah,
a tough loss. So
for sure. So again, prayers out to his family and everybody that's involved with him, and all his fans that had to go through that loss. I heard the news and I was in shock. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait, what? Like, he's not even that old. So shout out to his family and prayers out to them, and keep your prayers in for not only them but everybody right now. 2020 been a rough year. So
yeah, that's another thing I wanted to say. Like, usually at my age, I don't like holidays are tough for me. I've lost my mom quite a while ago, and holidays are tough for me, but I can't wait to get out of this year. I just cannot wait. One, I have Ryan, my son is going to have, his wife is going to have a baby late January, early February. But I am so looking forward to get out of 2020 and this coronavirus and everything that's just like that really has crippled this country this year.
Yeah,
I'm just I can't wait for this year to be over. To be honest with you,
100%, definitely. So, shout out to everybody, and like we said, we always family company, so we always want to make sure everybody stays safe. Like Ray said, this is the holiday season. If anybody needs to talk, please you can contact us, and we can talk privately about anything. Anybody's missing family or anything like that, just need to talk. You can email us at Inside the Hatches. It's ith support at insidethehatches.com. Next week I'll definitely make sure I have that email. But if anybody needs to talk just for mental health issues or anything, family loss or anything like that, please contact us. We will do that. You can also find us on our website too. So if you don't have the email, you can find our email on our website, insidethehatches.com. If anybody wants to reach out to us. So thank you guys for listening. We're sorry to end off on this note, but thank you, Freddie, for bringing that up. Holiday season's coming up, and we just want to make sure that everybody's in a good space and good headspace. And we're here for you. We're definitely here for you. So if you're listening and you're out there, you need somebody to talk to, please reach out to us.
One last thing before we get off, and I'm sorry that I keep interrupting and cutting off people and everything. Please, everybody, vote this year. Make your voice heard. Let people know that this country needs to move in a different direction. Right now, I feel like we have a redneck running the country, and we need to do something about it. Okay.
Yep. All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we'll see you next Wednesday at 7:00. Peace.